Hello, I'm Maria Uzor. I'm an electronic music producer and artist based in Norwich, UK. I produce primarily using Ableton and other software instruments, and occasionally some hardware peripherals. Today I'm going to talk to you about my transition from a more traditional style of writing and composing to then switching up and using Ableton, and a little bit about how I've explored using tech in my performance and in my music making, and my plans to take that further as well. Now, I would say that I am still pretty much a tech newbie, but it's sort of given me an opportunity to explore limitations that I had about myself and my own creative practice. So a bit about my history. I started off as a solo performer about 10 years ago, and for that I'd use like an acoustic or electric guitar and a Boss loop station, loop pedal, and I'd kind of like layer sounds and stuff like that. And then 2015 until lockdown, I was in an electronic duo called Sinky Teeth. We'd kind of use guitars, bass, synths, backing tracks created through Logic Pro and like SPD drum pads and things like that. So when the pandemic hit, it meant like an enforced break from Sinky Teeth, which was actually a good thing because it gave me the opportunity to switch things up. I decided to move from Logic Pro, which I'd kind of got my head around, to Ableton, which I didn't know anything about, because I wanted to sort of explore new ways of writing. And I started writing on that, teaching myself how to use that, and exploring new ways of performing these new songs that I'd written live using Ableton and using Push. Over lockdown, I found myself developing an interest in in exploring a more sort of like interactive approach to live performance, because I've kind of always felt that when you're on stage performing, it is kind of like a collaboration with the audience anyway. So I started sort of like thinking, well, how can I actually sort of make that a bit more literal? So last year I was quite fortunate to get some funding from the Arts Council to develop my creative practice. And with that funding, I decided to look at ways to use motion sensors from the audience in order to trigger sound and visuals and lights in a live setting. I was really fortunate as well to be able to work with Collusion on this for 3 days. We spent some time at Norwich Arts Centre, and I was able to learn things like VDMX, which is a music DJing software, and also we explored things like mapping sensors to Ableton, and we built a few very rough prototypes which could trigger lights and visuals from the audience. I found the whole experience working with Collusion and working on developing my creative practice really enlightening, because as someone who didn't have a strong tech background before, particularly outside of music, I suddenly found that I had a clearer idea of how I'd like to use tech in a live performance. And if I hadn't sort of had the opportunity to receive this funding and work with Collusion, I don't think I would have even sort of like been able to envisage where my music and where my performance could go next. Now that I've got a solid idea of how I'd like to incorporate motion sensors into my work, the next step for me will be to apply for some more funding from the Arts Council to be able to build some actual working prototypes that can be used in a live setting. And I would like to write and create a performance around that. That's the plan. So that's me. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to find out any more about me, or if you'd like to connect in any way, then you can find me on my website, which is mariauzor.com, or you can find me on socials, Twitter and Instagram. That's @_Maria Uzor. Bye.